have a child in college, you know how expensive it can be. But how expensive are those textbooks? I'm Jill Horner. This is Comcast Newsmakers. With me this hour is New Jersey State Assemblywoman Pamela Lampitt. Thanks so much for being with us.
Sure, thank you for having me.
Many of us have been through it ourselves or have had children in college and understand the costs associated with higher education. But you say there's a particular concern when it comes to textbooks.
Yes, most definitely. I'm sending off my son to college tomorrow, and getting him to think about in advance, what are the course that he's going to be taking, and what are the textbooks that he's going to be taking, because if we have an opportunity to save a little bit of money. On average, a student will spend $900 to $1,200 a year on their textbooks. It's exorbitant, and the federal government is approaching this as well. They just signed the Higher Education Opportunities Act, which had many things that encompass in it, which had a lot to do with scholarships and grants, but one of those things that they focus on, because it's a very real issue, is textbooks and textbooks affordability.
So let's get into some of the reasons for the cost. For some courses, very few books are printed because there's not a high demand. Books change on a semester by semester basis. Right. What are some of the reasons that they do cost so much money?
Well, typically there's a professor involved with a lot of textbook creation, and there's a lot of research involved. And so their participation in these particular textbooks drafting, they get provided a little bit of profit on their end. And so the more textbooks that they're able to sell, the longer they're able to hold off providing the information to the student to be able to purchase the book, provides them a little bit of extra funding. Sometimes the actual colleges get the actual funding. There's many opportunities in textbooks to provide what we would call kickbacks. And so this is something that we need to curb. The federal government and the Higher Education Opportunity Act actually stated that at the point in time when a student registers for a class, that's when the information needs to be provided to them about the textbooks.
Not necessarily on the first day of class,
exactly.
Like many of us remember getting that list.
Exactly.
Now, let's talk a little bit about some other options. I remember purchasing used books in some cases, but you said there's a new option now for rentals?
Right. I'm really proud of Camden County College coming out with what we know to be here in the first in the state, to allow textbook rentals. It's an opportunity for new books to continue to be purchased, and for an opportunity for the students to get them accurate, because sometimes when a student does make that choice to buy a used book, they don't get the right edition, and then they're always modifying their plan and following the course curriculum. So this allows the student to actually get the right book and be able to provide it back to the university in a rental type of basis, and it's very progressive.
In addition to that, you have a bill related to transparency when it comes to textbooks. How would this legislation actually work?
Well, it mimics the federal government. I've been waiting for the federal government. I'm not one to actually draft a bill or have a bill just because there is a bill to have. So I've been waiting for the federal government to come up with their standards. And my bill mimics much of what the federal government already has, but it also talks about no kickbacks. I think we're very cautious and very concerned about that, especially here in the state of New Jersey. But it does not allow anybody to profit from the sale of a textbook. The one thing to add here too is that textbooks get used and they have to get replenished. We all know about that. But in the world of, let's just say, math and calculus, nothing really new is erupting out of math and calculus that we would need to have another reprint of a book. History is one thing, science is something else. But for some reason, those calculus books are still very expensive.
And we just have a few seconds left, but for the scholars and professors that put in the time and effort to do this research and come up with these texts, can they still be compensated?
Well, they should be compensated, but compensated through the actual publisher. And there's a mechanism to be able to do that as well.
And very few seconds left, but where does this legislation stand? You said you were waiting for the federal government, but that's now in place.
Well, we're going to see how the actual colleges in the state of New Jersey are going to respond to this particular effort.
All right. Come back, give us an update.
Sure will.
Thank you. We've been talking with New Jersey State Assemblywoman Pamela Lampitt. I'm Jill Horner.